Hello. Welcome to another brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about portfolio management strategy. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact strategy that I'm going to be utilizing to manage my $1 million portfolio. I'm over $1 million funded. I'm currently max allocated with Linux, Lucid Trading, and I have a few accounts with Apex, but overall my portfolio sits right around over $1.1 million. I'm going to show you exactly how do I go about managing all this portfolio and all these accounts because I highly recommend, and I think I mentioned this in my previous video, never to trade all your account all at once. I'm going to talk about the specific type of account that I usually go for, size that I trade under, and then also what is the strategy about, and also what exactly is the strategy that I'm utilizing to scale, right? And one thing I'm going to tell you before I begin this video, one of my favorite quote, which is confidence can be emotional, but self-trust is earned. I want you to remember that. Keep this quote in mind as I go through this video. And I want you to remember that because I'm going to bring this back full circle towards the end of this video and you're going to see how it makes sense. In my previous video, when I talked about passing funded or portfolio management or just in general what a portfolio, I talk about mainly going after only 50K's account, right? So that means that you want to focus on primarily trading 50K, right? 50K, that's what you should be going for. If you go for anything above that, I really would not recommend doing that. You're going to just find yourself in evaluation phase for longer than you need to be, right? Stick to 50K's account. That's a better balance between drawdown and target, and you're just not going to have as many headaches. Now, I want you to think about this. If you are scaling your portfolio, I want you to think about building it into batches of 4 or 5, meaning that if you are buying evaluation, you don't want to buy no more than 5 or 4 account at a time. And you want to do it in cycle. And then what I put here, this is what I put eval restriction cycle. You want to do it in a way where you do it every 2 weeks. Why do I put that weekly, bi-weekly cycle restriction? This helps you limit your impulse, right? So I'm going to explain you what this chart here actually mean. You can unplug, the million, you can put 100,000. You can unplug that and then put maybe 200,000, right? And then this would simply be one account, right, of it for that type of portfolio size. In this case, obviously, because I have a million, then it's obviously 3 to 4 account. But if you only have 4 account, that is okay. That means that every cycle, you're going to be managing one 50K account. That means that every 2 weeks or every 5 to 10 days, however long it takes you to meet the buffer and then the requirement for the next payout, you simply trade the account that are lodged in that cycle. So the number one rule that I mentioned earlier, we can write out over here, is that you want to buy in batches of 4 or 5, right? That's the first step. You want to buy in batches of 4 to 5. Let's make this bigger. And then you want to limit yourself to 2 weeks. That means that if you lose those accounts within the 2 weeks period of time, that's it. You got to wait until those 2 weeks end before you can go ahead and get new batches of 4 to 5. And the reason why you're getting those 4 to 5 is because you're trying to build each account cycle here. So once you pass this 4 or 5 account, let's say if you pass 5 account, you place an account here, 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 you place an account here. And you can do it in 2 week cycle. You can do it in payout requirement cycle, meaning that account number one, you traded account only until you meet the requirement for payout, or 2 weeks comes. You can pick whichever one you want to select, whichever one you feel most attracted to. I like the payout cycle requirement more than 2 weeks, but usually I meet the requirement for the payout cycle within 2 weeks, way before the 2 weeks end. If you want to trade for 2 weeks extended and say, okay, but if I hit the payout cycle early, then I'm done, you can also do that. That could be a mix of both. But you understand the first rule. The reason why I have this rule, this is what we call building a system. I'm going to mention another quote here. As a trader, you have to understand something. Defense do not win championship. System wins championship. I don't know why. Even in basketball, I hear this. It used to like crack my head up so bad when I used to hear legend in basketball talk about defense win championship. No. System win championship. Right? In business, system win championship. In life, if you want to have a successful relationship, system win championship. System wins in life. So if you don't have system built around you, your environment, the way that you operate and manage it, and then do everything, you're gonna have a very, very difficult life. Because if you don't manage your life, someone else will manage it, right? And you won't like will manage it. It could be life itself. It could be just random stuff about life that manage your life, and then it's just chaotic, and you don't know where tomorrow will bring to you. You don't want to leave it up to chance. You don't want to be idle with your mind in the way that you operate. Therefore, you need to have a system, right? Because success is not random. Success come only when prepared and you operate in a way you systematically sequence your decision to that destination. This is the reason why I have it this way that I designed, right? Batches of 5 every 2 weeks. If you fail any of those or all of those, you should not be buying any new account until those 2 weeks are over. Please do not buy any freaking account until those 2 weeks are over. Please don't freaking doing that. Don't do that. Wait until those 2 weeks are over and then buy a new account. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. Don't fall into your impulse. Okay? Every 2 weeks, you focus on that. Now, let's say if each of the account here are 50K, 50K, 50K. Now, because I put 3 to 4 account, that's why I put this batch at 200K. This batch, when you're starting, could be 50K. This batch here could be 50K. It could be 50K, 50K, 50K. When you go to the next batch, if you have passed all those accounts, right? Once you pass all those accounts, are you going to buy a new account? No, you're not going to buy a new account, new evaluation. You know what you want to do? You want to trade those batches you have right now, get payout, and then add more account. So you buy the batch, right? You pass them. Hooray, you pass the account, right? Hooray, you pass the account. Yeah, you're celebrating, right? Great. Which you should not be celebrating, okay? I'm watching you. I want to see if you celebrate because you're just passing an evaluation. There's nothing to be celebrating here. Now, you can be happy by yourself. I mean, here's the thing. Only celebrate if you know you done it the right way. If you followed your rule, you followed your trading plan, you manage your risk properly, then you celebrate. You deserve that, actually. Sorry about that. Like me tapping your shoulder. Oh man. So next up after you pass the account, the next step that you want to focus on is payout. Okay? Payout. Once you get a payout, you can add more batch to your portfolio. However, at this point, because you have 4 accounts, you're going to manage each of those accounts that you just passed separately. Okay. So that means that when you get the payout, that payout is only from one account, not 2 accounts. It's only from one account, right? So you're not managing all 4 accounts all together. You're managing one at a time. So that means that for the first cycle, you're going to have one account that you're managing. If that account, you meet the payout within a week or week and a half, you can move on to the next one. The reason why you want to do it separately is that you actually want to risk a little bit higher based on your trading strategy. If you're managing it that way, where each account is on dash, depending on your trade frequency in eval stage, right? I would want to trade risking $700 if you are getting entry consistently. Maybe if you get an entry by about 4 to 7 entry a week, I would definitely risk right about closer to maybe $1,000. Now, if you only get give or take 2 to 3 entry a week, right around that range, you're very picky. Sometimes it's only 2 entry per week, but they are very good entries. Then you probably want to risk $1,000. It can be done within like a week or maybe a week and a half, and you're done, right? But if you get a lot more entries, 4 to 7, maybe something even 8 entries per week, definitely go for $700. That will give you the breathing room in case if you encounter some loss, you can just blast through the evaluation stage and not stay there for too long. Okay. Now, once you're funded, again, based on your frequency, the entry frequency and your risk to reward, you want to do this exact same thing. Okay. You probably want to risk right around $300 to $600. If you get a lot of entry frequency, then you probably want to risk right around $300 to $400. If your entry is essentially very sparse, please don't mind me. Don't risk $6,000. I made this here as a joke for anybody that was not paying attention. You should be risking $600. Okay. If your frequency is a bit more sparse, you don't get entry very often, then you probably want to risk $600. Okay. That should be good. So you want to risk something that's kind of high, but not too high. That means that your system need to be very impeccable, right? When you're trading prop firm. But it's okay because if you go on a short winning spree, right, where the period of time when you're trading, you have extremely high win rate. Most prop firm, you only need a 30% consistency rule, and some offer 40%. That means that you only need really 3 days where you have those pretty good sizable winner. And then the remaining day, you can simply place a position on your account and meet the 8 or 7 or 10 trading days to essentially get your payout. So if you trade this way, and then you're in a period of time when you get good trade for that account batch or for that cycle, you have made the payout, and then you have gotten the money back plus some more for all the account for that cycle. However, if let's say you pass 4 account, right? for this cycle, all your account, you trade copying it. If you go into a bad cycle, all your account are hit. And everything that you just worked for, the money that you spent on activation, all that is gone. $800 to $1,000, give or take. Probably around $600 for 4 or 5 account. But you get what I'm saying. However, if you trade each cycle separately, you have 5 account, but you trade each of them individually. Let's say you get a payout for one of the account cycle, right? Like here, you can use that $1,500 or $2,000 to buy 4 or 5 more accounts. So if you're trading the next cycle, you can trade copy that cycle to the new 4 account that you just added. And then your goal with that cycle is to pass to get to payout stage, but also utilize your progress in there to also potentially pass those evaluation and add additional account for each cycle. So when the next cycle rolls over, instead of having only one, now you have two that you have on top. And then you trade simply those two. And then guess what? Once you get the next payout, that's when you can add more account and potentially activate those account if you pass them. That is the only way you add account. Now, you only add one batch of cycle per cycle. We're going to make it simple. If you have 5 account, the only way for you to add another 5 account is if you have gotten a payout from one of these accounts. The only way you add another 5 account is if you have gotten a payout from the next batch, and then so on and so on and so on and so forth. By the time you get to 1 million in funded, you should have gotten multiple payout. You should have earned your way to 1 million. You should not have rushed your way there, because if you earn your way to 1 million where you're getting payout along the way and then you're building your portfolio like that, by the time you get to 1 million, you're gonna know exactly how to manage it. Versus if you rush your way to 1 million, once you get there, you're gonna have a lot of issue. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the story in the music industry. Many artists, they sign $1 million deal, right? They sign $500,000 deal. And I lived in California for a few years. And one thing I noticed seeing that in my personal life experience is that you see a lot of those artists that would sign those deals, right? You would never hear about them on the news or anywhere. They would never really make it anywhere. Some of them sign $100,000 deal. Some of them sign $500,000 deal, some $1 million deal. But here's the reason why most of them blow that money and they never actually break out with that amount of money and advantage. And then they have record label behind them, pushing them. They have connection that they've been given as well. The reason why they're not able to break out even with that much money is because they never learn to be resourceful with whatever they had originally. They never learn how, oh, you know what? Let something break at home. I need a plumber for this. Let me look for the cheapest option. Let me look for the most cost-effective option to essentially resolve this. Now, let me go find the most expensive one and then blow money on that. Like saving money, being a resourceful, being a good operator does not start when you already have a lot. It starts when you have very little. That's when it starts. When you have a little, you cannot properly manage it. A lot is just going to amplify your bad management. A lot is just going to amplify the fact that you lack system and then you're chaotic with your life in the way that you're processing and operating things. This is the reason why you need to do it this way, right? You get a patch of 5, you pass those 5, you activate one, you pass that one getting into payout stage. Once that one get the payout stage, you use the money from that to activate the other 4 and trade the next one in that cycle. So in between, there's a period of time that's going to be a pause. Once you get the payout stage for the first one, you may have to wait a week or so before you get the payout and activate the next one. In that wait period, don't say, let me go ahead and skip and break the rule and activate the next account. No, wait and go ahead and then activate only when you get that payout. Once you get that payout, you activate the remaining 4 and then you trade the next account and then you do the same thing, right? You're trying to work the account, getting into payout stage, and then you can maybe get another 4 account if the 2-week cycle, if you already passed that 2-week cycle from the previous cycle, right? And this protects you because if you pass the account, right, and then you get funded and then you get the payout within that 2-week cycle, and then but if you're within that 2 weeks, you can't really buy any new evaluation. So even if you get that payout, that you have to wait past 2 weeks from that starting point of your cycle before you get more. The reason why that 2 weeks is important is because it will move and it helps you control impulsive behavior. Because as a prop trader, you're developing a lot of bad behavior when you don't have system. So you need to reteach your mind, reteach your brain how to operate in a healthy manner, in a way that's systematic and conducive for growth in a way where you can scale and actually make money in this space. This is the reason why this strategy is so powerful. Okay, it's one that I have utilized. Once you have a good foundation, like let's say 800,000 to 1 million, and then you have earned your way to that level, right? Because remember what I said earlier, confidence is emotional. Only self-trust is earned. Self-trust is earned, not given. Meaning that if someone that goes in the market and say, I'm confident of just trading and I can catch this move and this and that, it's cool, but are you building anything that lasts long? What do you have to show for that? If you don't have anything to show for that, it's just brutal emotion. There's no system behind it. There's nothing to show for it. There's no receipt to prove that it's actually working, right? You need receipt behind those things. Self-trust is earned. When you build system like this one for yourself, maybe you can take whatever I just shared with you and then you can modify it a little bit and then build and make it so that it actually matches your own maybe way of operating. But you make sure that the mechanic that I mentioned earlier, having a window of period of time where you do not buy any new eval, no matter what, whether you pass and get more payout or whether you blow an account, you do not do that. You hold yourself, you back test, you go out and touch the grass every single day, and then you punish yourself and you force yourself to be disciplined and be patient. Because if you don't, you're just going to fall into the statistic for the prop firm. The next sector I want to talk about before we end this video is scaling principle. Okay. Some of the principle that I follow and some of the code that I have mentioned throughout this video really tied to my principle, right? That I utilize to manage my life, to manage everything that I do. And one of the biggest one is emotional mastery. And the negative side of trading prop firm is that if you're managing too many accounts at the same time, especially in the very beginning when you have not earned self-trust yet, you have not earned that self-trust, it will typically put tremendous amount of pressure on every single setup that you take. You do not want that. Okay. It will typically lead to more impulsive behavior. So when you fail, if you don't have any structure or limitation, you are more prone to impulsive behavior. Okay. You're more prone to do something that you would do it in the spur of the moment, but you later regret it. You rather reflect on it and say, why was I doing that? It's because you didn't have any system at the beginning of the game. Therefore, you didn't know the game had any limit in terms of damage that you could have done to yourself. Right. When the game begin, and if you have not set limitation on how much damage can be inflicted upon you, you will get the max damage inflicted upon you. So you have to limit the amount of damage one way or another. The way I'm doing that is via the system that I just broke down to you. Greed and FOMO. If you don't have any system, if you don't have anything that protects you, you're just going to consistently fall for greed. You're going to want to trade more. I have a limitation on the number of trades that I take per day, 2 to 3 max, usually to be honest, 2, right? You want to maximize your performance by minimizing the amount of decision that you make. There's a reason why billionaires, there's a reason why president only wear 2 to 3 of the same type of clothes. You have a certain amount of bandwidth that you can operate on a day-to-day basis with, and that you can make logical decision. The moment you pass that threshold, you begin making emotional decision, irrational decision, and your prefrontal cortex, like the part of your brain that's essentially the primal, the animal part of your brain for survival, takes over and forces you to do things that you'll end up regretting. Right? You want to keep the part of your brain that's logical, sound, and sane in the front. The only way to do that is to minimize the amount of decision that you make on a day-to-day basis, right? Next up, and finally, why? Why this principle actually work? And if you read psychology book on trading, on how to beat the trading game and master yourself, you will see that all of the main principles talked about in this book are going to revolve around some of the things I'm going to talk about here. So the number one thing I truly believe why this actually work is because it helps you rewire and operate as a profitable trader because you're focusing on system, right? You're no longer just winging it. You're no longer not having clear direction because a profitable trader is the same as a leader, is the same as a profitable business owner. They think in system. They don't think in actions, right? Next up, system wins championship, not defense. Like I said earlier, people would tell you defense wins championship. If I don't take a certain amount of trade, then I don't necessarily have to lose, and I don't necessarily have to feel the pain or the jab in the back of like taking a loss or whatever. You're going to take loss, but your system, right? We rise and fall to the degree and of the execution of our system. So if your system is not designed to allow you to succeed at a high degree and a high level, I'm sorry, you're not going to make it. And doing this will allow you to have true abundance mindset, not the bull-ass meditation BS that you see online. People tell you, oh, you need to meditate, you need to, all these things create lies in your head in regards to what actually is needed for you to get to the next level. You cannot lie your way to abundance. You must earn your way to abundance. The way to do that is to have a system that allows you to no longer stress on outcome, but mostly on process, to consciously fall in love with the process. I hope this was insightful. I know this was a pretty long breakdown lecture. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with another trader who will gain tremendous value understanding how to manage $1 million funded account because you will get there eventually. The question is not if you will get there. But here's a second question I want you to think about. How will you manage it? Because if you're not ready once you get there, you will definitely lose it and repeat the cycle. So with that said, until next time, stay safe, stay in profit. Peace.